complete chaos out there. We've got officers going in heavily armed now. It's all snowballed into hell.
Then we arrived in the area of where the body was, and it was quite apparent that whoever it was deceased. There was a white tiger chewing on him.
Sheriff's office.
Yeah, I think I just seen one. It's like a jaguar or a wolf or something.
In the fall of 2011, the sleepy small town of Zanesville, Ohio, experienced a nightmare, all because of one man, Terry Thompson. As the owner of more than 50 exotic animals, he earned quite a reputation in town, especially when he decided to set them free.
I had made contact with the sheriff that appeared that everything had been turned loose. And I mean, there was bears, there was tigers, there was lions running everywhere.
Why did Terry unleash his animals on the town? Was it an act of spite? Which one of his exotic animals was never found by the police? And how many people were eaten alive?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, this is a Coke Dock on Coke Dock Road, and we're there next to Terry Thompson, and there's a bear and a lion now.
This is Zanesville, Ohio, a quaint town known for its unique Y-shaped bridge and being the pottery capital of the world. It's the type of place where everyone knows everyone, and most residents knew about Terry and his eclectic animal farm.
Yeah, Terry was different. Terry always kind of pushed the envelope, but Terry was Terry.
Terry was born and raised just east of Zanesville. In his youth, he was passionate about flying and acquired his pilot's license as soon as he was of age. With an exciting career ahead of him, his life was turned upside down when he was drafted into the Vietnam War. In the years following his tour, the trauma continued to haunt him. After returning home, Terry met his wife Marion, a teacher who was also a decorated prize-winning horse rider and animal lover. He opened a motorcycle shop and got a license to sell guns, all while gaining a reputation for doing things a little differently than everyone else. One day, for Marion's birthday, Terry bought a baby tiger cub at an exotic animal auction, a gift that would quickly turn into his new obsession. From guns to cars, and then animals, Terry was a hoarder, feeling he could never have enough. The couple sunk thousands of dollars into their amateur zoo, housing lions, tigers, bears, wolves, and even monkeys. To feed their hungry residents, Terry was known for collecting roadkill, taking dead livestock from neighbors, and buying leftover chicken parts unfit for eating. Soon, he turned his collection into a business, acting as an animal handler for Animal Planet's show Wild Kingdom in 2008.
Is Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
He also provided a lion cub for a photo shoot with supermodel Heidi Klum. But later that year, his side hustle, selling guns, began to raise suspicion. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, raided his home, taking away 133 guns and dozens of rounds of ammunition. To make matters worse, his marriage was on the rocks. Terry accused Marion of ratting him out to the authorities and was known to be verbally abusive toward her. After 40 years of marriage, Marion decided to separate. Ultimately, he pleaded guilty to possession of unregistered firearms and served 10 months in prison. And despite his efforts to patch things up with Marion, she had no sympathy for him.
I think Terry's downfall is that when he returned from prison, Marion was not at the farm waiting for him.
Drowning in debt and suspicious his wife had cheated on him during his time in prison, Terry did something no one could have prepared for. On October 18, 2011, Terry's neighbor Sam Kopchak noticed something was off while leading his horse, Red, to pasture.
I saw the horses that were there. There's probably about 60 horses I estimate that they had. They were going around a circle. And I said, well, they're not supposed to do that. Something's going on, you know.
Sam decided to take a closer look and headed over to the edge of Terry's paddock. He saw a dark shape emerge in the middle of the circling horses, a large black bear. Sam initially brushed this off as a rare sighting of an endangered animal in Ohio and did his best to calm down Red. But what he saw next shook him to the core.
I just felt like something was looking at me, and I kind of turned to the left, and big male African lion, he came down. This is about the spot he was setting. He just sat down right there.
Sam knew it wasn't wise to run from a lion, so he slowly but briskly walked away. He only looked back once, about a third of the way from his barn, to see the lion staring ominously at him behind a fence it could easily vault over. Sam first thought he needed to warn his elderly mother. She lived with him and was home all alone, an easy target for a hungry predator. He brought Red into the barn, locked the doors, and phoned his mom in a frenzy. Alarmed by the news, she quickly called the Thompson residence, but all she got was the answering machine. That's when she knew she had to call 911.
45 and 54 behind Kochek Road. Complaint advised there is a bear and a lion loose running in the area.
I was kind of skeptical right at first. I just thought maybe somebody had maybe seen a big dog or something.
Deputy Jonathan Mary, who was serving a court summons just a couple miles outside of town, received the strange call and acted immediately. He drove up and knocked on Mrs. Kopchek's door. A large gray wolf ran along the road behind him as he turned around. Mary hopped into his patrol car and followed the wolf. As it approached a nearby house, he got out, grabbed his rifle from the trunk, and approached it slowly. He radioed headquarters and was told to put the wolf down. With a well-aimed shot, the threat was eliminated. But just as he went to inspect the wolf's body, he got another alarming call. His colleagues were face to face with a lion near the Thompson residence, armed with standard-issued pistols. Not exactly the kind of firepower needed to deal with a full-grown lion. Meanwhile, Sergeant Steve Blake rushed to the scene and pulled up to the Thompson property. He and John Moore, Terry's animal caretaker, approached the Thompson house. They found cages that were cut, some left open, and 2 that contained a couple of monkeys and a dog. They came across a gruesome scene as they cautiously walked to the barn. A large white tiger was eating something. Upon closer inspection, it was a body that was barely recognizable. As Deputy Mary drove up the hill toward the Thompson property, he saw another deputy running in fear. Mary reached for his rifle, but it snagged on the cruiser's computer stand. Instead, he grabbed his Glock. As soon as he turned around, a 350-pound black bear charged him. Usually, black bears will do a bluff charge to test your dominance. Your best bet to survive is to stand your ground and look tall. But most of all, don't run. Just a few feet away from him, Mary shot the bear. Thankfully, it was in the head. Otherwise, his Glock's bullet likely wouldn't have slowed it down. Shaken by the ordeal, he went to grab his rifle from his patrol car. And it's a good thing he did. Just moments later, a large African lioness crawled under Terry's fence and ran down the road toward another neighbor's home. Mary aimed and took the shot. Another one down, but how many were left to go? A number of emergency units, including the Columbus Zoo's capture and recovery team, arrived at the Thompson property, preparing for the worst possible scenario.
On the way to the scene, I made it clear to the guys on the scene that if there were any animals outside the pasture field or looking like they were going out of the fence, they would be put down.
We were first approached by, I believe it was 2 tigers come out of a barn towards us. And as they rushed the truck, we were forced to dispatch them.
But what if you encountered a tiger and didn't have a gun? Stay calm and slowly back away. Don't make eye contact, as this could be seen as threatening to the tiger. The same advice goes for most wild cats. Avoid turning and running. It will only make you vulnerable to an attack from behind. If the tiger continues to approach you, make yourself appear big. Make loud noises too. If it attacks, fight like hell. It's your best chance at survival. Here on How to Survive, we cover all kinds of survival scenarios. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible survival stories. Still putting together the pieces of what happened, the officers approached a mangled body. Unknown to them, dozens of wild predators were still loose, waiting for the opportunity to pounce.
Then we arrived in the area of where the body was, and it was quite apparent whoever it was deceased. There was a white tiger chewing on him.
The officers figured at the time that Terry's animals must have gotten loose and killed him. They started shutting the doors to contain the animals still in their cages. It was then that they realized this large escape was no accident.
I look over, and maybe 3 feet away from where the door is, there's a large hole that's cut in the chain link fence. As soon as I saw that, I remember the blue bolt lock cutters that are laying beside Terry Thompson.
An investigation was needed to determine what happened. Still, the priority now was ensuring Zanesville citizens' safety. Officers, armed with both tranquilizers and guns, were now on a mission.
I'm on 23 and there's a lion in the road.
11's clear in here.
stay indoors.
Remain indoors, don't try to approach them.
911.
Yeah, there's a lion on Mount Perry Road in Gray Shot.
I'm pretty sure, and I just saw a wolf.
I think I just seen one. Looks like a jaguar or a wolf or something.
Now, what can law enforcement do? You've got an immediate logistical problem in front of you, which is that you've got a lot of very dangerous animals in an environment that they're not familiar with and they're uncontained. So you have to do something. Your primary purpose here is to preserve human life, and you have dangerous animals out and about.
As they began to lose sunlight, authorities grew more concerned about wild animals being loose at night, leaving unsuspecting victims in even more danger. After weighing over what to do next, the city's sheriff made the call, which they felt was necessary to protect everyone.
There was no other option except to dispatch the animals. We started engaging the animals at different distances.
The majority of the animals on Thompson's property were shot, but one cougar escaped and died after being hit by a car. With animal corpses littered everywhere, officers started to sort out the bodies by species to get a count. In total, 49 exotic animals were killed. This included 18 Bengal tigers, 17 lions, 6 black bears, a pair of grizzlies, 3 mountain lions, 2 wolves, and a baboon. 6 other animals were captured alive: 3 leopards, a grizzly bear, and 2 monkeys. But to this day, 1 has gone unaccounted for. A macaque was never located. Although there was fear it could have been carrying a disease like hepatitis B, authorities determined it was likely eaten by one of the other escapees. While the chaos was over, the investigation was only just beginning.
See all of these animals piled up after they were killed because they were running free, running loose in a dangerous situation. This is wrong. This is way wrong.
Once it was safe to do so, a forensics team inspected the crime scene, starting with Terry's body. It was then officially determined that on October 18th, 2011, Terry Thompson opened all of his animal cages, allowing them to run wild and wreak havoc on the citizens of Zanesville. But what was even more shocking was how he died.
There was a head wound, a head gunshot wound. His hands were filled with gunpowder residue. It leads us to believe that this is a suicide.
There were also reports raw chicken was scattered around Terry's body, with some believing he wanted the animals to feast on his remains. An autopsy revealed that Terry was suffering from a severe cardiovascular disease. It's unclear how much time he had or if he knew about his condition. A few weeks out of prison, his finances in tatters, and his relationship with Marianne over, Terry snapped. Others believed his hoarding got the best of him, making him feel helpless on top of everything else.
He couldn't stop acquiring more. I think he just worked himself into a hole. But he just couldn't bring himself to get rid of.
When Marianne came to the property, she was distraught, to say the least. After agreeing to relocate the 6 surviving animals to a zoo, she insisted they be buried on their property when they passed.
You read him kind of care about them.
You're shooting animals! You guys are outrageous! Man, shooting animals with live rounds, you
The backlash the authorities received from citizens and the world was swift. Many thought the deaths of the animals, including 18 endangered Bengal tigers, were unnecessary.
I'm sorry to say that what the sheriff did had to be done, or else we would have had carnage out here this morning in Zanesville, Ohio.
Now you could say, oh, they could have, I know people said at the time, oh, they should have tranquilized them and relocated them. Well, where are these magic tranquilizers coming from? Some local vet happens to be fully kitted up to tranquilize 50-odd huge, wild, aggressive animals with the experience. Massively unlikely. Thinking about this, these animals are spreading out further and further. So, I mean, it's regrettable, but I think the law enforcement did exactly the right thing, and they probably should have done it sooner.
With only 1 death, due to a self-inflicted wound, the amount of damage done to the public was kept to a minimum.
About a mile down the road that evening, there was a tournament soccer game going on. There could have been a lot of tragedy, and there wasn't. For the most part, no one was injured.
Before the Zanesville Massacre, exotic animal laws in Ohio and other parts of the country were fairly lax. In fact, a person could technically buy a lion or tiger without telling anyone, including the government or their neighbors. The United States Department of Agriculture would need to be informed only if you crossed state lines with them or put them on display for others to see. But following this incident, The idea of exotic animal ownership took the international spotlight, and lawmakers scrambled to tighten restrictions. It took 3 years, but as of January 1st, 2014, Ohio's exotic animal laws were made official, banning dozens of animals from being privately owned.
We have vipers here, we have baboons, you have lions, tigers, everything. And you would never think it is here in America, but it is here and it is rampant and is running wild.
The award-winning 2010 documentary, The Elephant in the Living Room, highlighted the sad state of exotic animal ownership across the U.S. There are just under 4,000 tigers in the wild, substantially fewer than the estimated 5,000 captive tigers in the U.S. alone. Although some believe wild animals belong in their natural habitat, others, like Joe Exotic, aka the Tiger King, feel they're doing what's best for them.
The only safe place for an animal in the United States is in a cage, in a zoo, or somebody's yard that can properly care for them.
Joe's currently serving 22 years in prison for killing tigers and hiring hitmen. He's since changed his tune on animal captivity, saying no animals belong in a cage. Maybe living behind bars, like his tigers before him, is responsible for his shift in perspective. Unfortunately, most exotic animal owners don't have the funds or proper infrastructure to care for these animals, even if they mean well. As with Zanesville, they pose a risk to the owners and the general public.
As far as I'm concerned, I can't see that there's ever any need for a private individual to be keeping a lion or a tiger. And I also don't think that it's really possible in most cases for a private individual to satisfactorily keep an animal like that. Bearing in mind what you require, and bearing in mind that zoos struggle, the idea that you can, as a private individual, keep them, I think is quite tricky. And I think if you want to, you probably should scale up what you're doing to the size of a zoo and apply to become a zoo.
However, even visiting a zoo isn't always safe, as spectators have gotten too close and personal with some animals. Other times, animals have found ways to escape their enclosures, wreaking havoc on anyone nearby. We did an episode exploring some of the deadliest zoo attacks, so be sure to check that out. And remember, your next move could be the difference between life and death. We'll see you next time, right here on How to Survive.